And welcome to this week's episode of the UFO show here on the Area 51 Sports Network, brought to you by Bet99.com. Once again, if you head over to area51sportsnetwork.com/betting, there you'll find a link. If you click that link, whatever you put into the site, up to $600 you get as a bet back bonus. So make sure to check that out. This week, we are joined by Chris Faber of Sportsnet 650, the Canucks Army, Canucks Conversation. Is there anything I'm missing here? Oh, NHL.com, recently. So Faber, how are you doing?
Doing good, man. Just about to get down to 650 here, do a baseball game, get some C's action in. I know Andy got to take in quite a game yesterday. It almost fell asleep in the first 8 innings, but it was a nice little comeback for the C's in the ninth there. So that was almost a pretty good one. So I was kind of jealous that Andy was there and I was back at the station pushing buttons instead.
Yeah, no, it's I felt bad for Spokane starter because I think he went 7 1/3 or 6 2/3 or something, no hitter, and then his team almost blew a 6-0 lead after he was taken out of the game. So would have been really unfortunate if he got the L after that performance.
Now, Chris, I got to ask you, you have, or Faber, yeah, you have posted about how you moved into the new building right across the street from Rogers Arena. But one bad thing about moving to downtown is that, your spot, Arby's, there's no Arby's downtown. So what has been the replacement?
Man, I've shifted pretty hard into those Wendy's breakfast sandwiches. I've had some really good ones and I've had some okay ones. The first one I got was actually really bad. So, but no, I think I've been cooking a lot too, because I also moved in with my girlfriend for the first time when I moved into this place. So now that we're down here and only being 5 minutes away from 650 where I'd have to drive to for work, instead of, I used to live in White Rock, which was at least 45 minutes to get to work every single day. So now that I have 5 minutes, I'm cooking more. I feel like we're doing a lot of tacos lately. Did enchiladas for the first time. That was really good. So yeah, just cooking a lot more. But as soon as Abbotsford gets up and running again for some, regular season hockey in the AHL, I'll definitely get my fix then. Because yeah, it's a struggle now. I have to go all the way out to Tsawwassen or out to Aldergrove to get it. And I don't know. It's worth it if they bring a new menu item in. But the problem with Arby's Canada is they don't get new menu items ever. Twice a year they'll get something new and fresh, and then you just have to nothing wrong with it. I still like normal Arby's. I still think the loaded curly fries might be the best fast food item there is in the market out of everything. But I like to just something fresh will draw me back in. I'll make a run out there when I have to, or when I have to go back to the island, I'll do stop at Tsawwassen there. But right now, yeah, I'm just filling the hole with actually cooking good food instead of going and eating the crappiest food in the market.
So have you seen our buddy Danila Klimovic yet? I think he's still in town. It looks like he lives either in your building or right around you.
Yes, I saw him 5 days ago, maybe walking down with some groceries. Yeah, he lives in the building right beside me, actually. So yeah, I saw him 5 days ago. He's wearing pink shorts, walking down the street. And yeah, he seems to be doing good. I've been following around him and his wife now, I guess, on Instagram, and they seem to be enjoying the city. And it's a good spot for him to be if they're going to start training and having a good off season of workouts for him. But yeah, I've seen him once so far, just kind of driving by, and he was walking down the street.
Nice.
Have you invited him over for tacos yet?
Not yet. I'm still curious I'm so curious what Klimovic's English is like. You never got a chance to hear it. He did a tiny bit at training camp, but the guy said in outro that he's a funny guy when you get to know him. So I was like, hey, well, he's speaking English then. I'm really wondering how it is, how much his English has improved at this point. If he's doing the same thing as Pod Colson, where he's actually working with somebody about it, or if he's just kind of living life and picking it up as he goes kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not sure. I'm not sure how big the the population is in Vancouver that he can just go and have everyday conversations in his native language. So
yeah, it's got to be tough, man. I don't know how he does it. And to see, I think it was Joshua Griffiths had an interview with him in the off season before he started. His English was very very weak at that point. So I'd be interested to see next time I actually walk on the street, which I rarely do. I did have to go today. I walked up and got a new pair of shoes today. So that was nice, but I was hoping maybe I'd catch him there, but I only seen him when I was driving. So I'll shout him out next time I see him. I'm sure he's going to be wearing those bright pink shorts.
So let's jump in here to, the reason that we brought you on to talk some sports betting. Now, tonight we got game 2, Edmonton, Colorado, 7-6 final score, game 1. A little bit of controversy, is it a goal? Is it not a goal? I know that, listening to Halford and Bruff, they were adamant of no goal. And they were also adamant that Coleman kicked in the puck in Game 5 in that Calgary-Edmonton series. And then you have other people who are adamant that it was a good goal. So that really changes the line. But we go into this game with a line of 7.5. So what do you think they're thinking in Vegas, putting the line at 7.5 when you just had a 13-goal game in Game 1?
Yeah, I feel like they're almost giving away money at this point. It feels like it's 7.5. I'm feeling pretty confident taking the over there. Even, bumping up to like 8.5. I think I'm getting like 145. Like that's a pretty decent money. I feel like, especially for the way that this series went, or just the first game went, where like goals. There was times where you could see like 5 goals in 4 minutes, and that wouldn't shock anybody. I don't think in Game 2. So I'm not like blown away by that, but like, to see a spread of like 7.5 be pretty much even for this series after Game 1 is still a little surprising, because like obviously it's 2 offensive teams. They're going to be able to get theirs. I think the goaltending is the thing that's been weak, but it still wouldn't shock me to see like Mike Smith actually have a decent game. Like it could happen. It's not like completely out of the realm of possibility. I don't know if I'm confident in that happening, but it is very possible. So like, you could have some real value here if you do end up getting like a 4-1 game or like a 3-1 game. That would be huge. If you kind of want to just even sprinkle a little bit there while you're spending like a good bulk of it on going with the over.
And I don't even think that has Mike Smith been announced the starter yet, because I know that there's also questions on the Colorado side about who's going to be starting.
Yeah, so Francouz is starting for Colorado. That's confirmed. Mike Smith took morning skate in the starter's net. So, I mean, all signs point to him starting.
Yeah, I think the only tweet I remember seeing, I think, was it was something that Freed retweeted, but I think it was like strong indication that you'll see him in Game 2. I don't think there was like a for sure anything from Woodcroft this morning. But either way, like, I still think that could be. Like he is like the thing about Mike Smith. Listen, I don't think he's a good goalie. Like I don't think he's great, but like there's been times where he will have a really good game throughout the playoffs where he does just allow like 1 goal. Like he'll have one of those in this series, I think for sure. It's just going to be interesting if you can like predict that one game when it happens. And there will be a game where like Colorado's possession numbers are so good that they're not going to allow like 4+ goals in a game too. So I think there's going to be one game in the series where it is like a 2-1. 3-1 type of game. And if you could pick that and like find that as the one that you pick for the under, especially like, like plus 800, if you're going for like 4.5, like that could be value right there. So you can just like sprinkle a little bit on throughout the series.
Mm-hmm. So Chris, I got 2 boosted odds here for you. Curious to get Adam's opinion too. So the first boosted odd is Cale Makar over 1.5 points, boosted to 200, plus 200 tonight.
Yeah, I mean that sounds pretty strong. I think I'm going like, yeah. What is it boosted from? Was it boosted? Can you see the number that it boosted up from?
Yeah,
I like that 200. Yeah,
boosted from plus 165.
Yeah, no, I would sprinkle on that for sure. I think that's the other thing that's cool about this series. Like everyone talks about like the big names, obviously in this series, but like if you're like a prop bet fan, like you have to absolutely love that. Like this is the thing that you can get to bet on now too. Is like players like Cale Makar, like instead of betting on like, when you do bet on like the Canucks or something, you're betting on Tyler Myers, like 0.5 points. But like to be able to bet on Cale Makar at 2 points, like you feel pretty good about that, especially the way that his season's gone for him.
Mm-hmm. And the other bet here is Zach Hyman to score more than 1 goal, boosted from plus 180 to plus 215.
See, that's the one I wouldn't go with because like Hyman's been so lucky. Like Hyman's hit so many. I don't know if he's going to be able to keep his goal streak going on. Of his like, it's been incredible to watch Hyman play throughout these series. Like the way that he ended the series against the Flames, just like being a massive contributor. Yeah, that one I don't know if I'm going to be as much. I feel like I'm more confident in getting 2 points out of Makar than getting a goal from Hyman.
What about you, Adam?
Yeah, the Makar one makes sense because points are easier to get than goals. You know, I always kind of shy away from the goal one because you never know. Like, you know, you can get a secondary assist and win a bet that way. But, you know, like goals are very specific on how you do it. Like I won a Quinn Hughes bet one time because he got a secondary assist. Like, and he didn't really do anything with the puck. Like it was just one of those where he touched it and I didn't even think he should have gone the secondary assist, but they kind of gave it to him. Speaking of Zach Hyman, though, I just remember like the best tweet I think I've seen about him was a Leaf fan tweeting that Zach Hyman left the Leafs to escape the first round by going to a team that couldn't escape the first round. So that's my image of Zach Hyman, just like living in the moment, like not being there or being past the first round for the first time in his career.
That's like the tweet that you have on the background of the phone right now if you're Hyman for sure.
Yeah, exactly.
So do you have Colorado as the over or as the favorite, or are you taking Edmonton in game 2 here?
Man, you know, I haven't actually like given much thought to it because I think just these games in Colorado, I've almost just said like they're gonna win. Like they're gonna win all their games in Colorado. But I don't know. I think that tonight might be like I'm getting a weird feeling about this being the game where Mike Smith does play well and going up against Colorado's backup. Like I think that he knows that if he does play, doesn't even have to be like one of those games that I was talking about earlier where he allows just 1 or 2 goals. Like he just kind of needs to like keep it under 3, and I feel like you can get Edmonton in this game. And to look at the value for the Oilers, like just like looking at like an alternate spread potentially like on the Oilers, or even just going like with total goals. Like I'm looking at, I got total goals for the Oilers at 3.5 at -115. Like I'm feeling pretty good that they're going to get 4, and like I probably would, like I think I might even like think about parlaying up the Oilers with some other like pretty safe bets maybe around the MLB as well tonight, and just kind of go in that direction because like I feel like you can get some value there with the Oilers tonight, especially against a backup goaltender where the Oilers are already dogs on the road. Like I got them here at 135 just to win outright. I don't know. I feel pretty good about taking the Oilers in that spot. I don't think I really want to go with like the puck line at this point. I think I'd rather just go with the money line for the Oilers here and go that direction.
So, Chris, I will say if you sign up for an account at bet99.com and you use the link on our website, you can actually get the Oilers at +142 on the money line. So okay. There's better odds. The play I'm looking at here, Adam, is actually in the parlay for this game. I like the Oilers to win and the total goals under 5.5. That pays out at +1,000. So like if you do a 3-2 game, a 4-1 game, I think it's going to be a lot tighter checking than the 7-6 roller coaster we had the other day. So if you'd like the Oilers to win and under 5.5, it pays out at +1,000.
Now, here's something, like probably Faber would be able to answer a little bit better, but Edmonton has played 3 games in Colorado in the last 3 years ish. Do you think that the altitude, the fact that they haven't played in altitude in like as consistently as, they have in the past does play a factor in the series?
Yeah, well, they played Colorado pretty good in the regular season. So, like, if you do look at just like the games where they actually had to play in Colorado, I think they won like 6-3. I can't remember if that was in Edmonton or in Colorado, but I know they won one game 6-3, lost in a shootout, and lost in overtime. And like to think they did that against a Colorado team that we know how good they were at home, like that home winning streak that they had this season was just ridiculous. I can't even remember how many games it was, but I remember seeing like always looking up like, oh, how good the Canucks were doing after they switched to Bruce Boudreau and like looking at like team stats. Then you're like, oh, like they're doing so good. This is great. And then the Avalanche was just like, oh, they've lost 2 games in the whole stretch where the Canucks have been like really good as well. So I don't know if the altitude's going to make that much of a difference. I think athletes at this point there's probably enough that you can do from a team side to like prepare them for that. I think obviously it's still going to be a little thing that affects you, but getting there, getting settled, I don't think it's going to be as much as it is even during the regular season, where it's like you fly in the night before, you play the day after that, and then you're gone. Like I think you've had a little bit of time to kind of get settled into the area, and I don't think it's going to affect them as much as maybe if they did a little bit in game one, it didn't really show. So I don't think we'll see it in game two either.
One other thing that doesn't. So I've been to Colorado a couple times, and one thing that people don't really get about Colorado is that today it's 21 degrees Celsius. It really feels like it's like 35 degrees Celsius outside. So you also have like when you're in that building, even though it's temperature controlled and everything, you can still feel like the heat in that building. Like when we went on a stadium tour of I want to call it the Pepsi Center, but I know it's not called the Pepsi Center anymore.
Ball Arena.
Ball Arena, yeah. You could feel the heat like coming in with the altitude and everything. So there are a lot of factors that play in for definitely a team that doesn't play there very often and is no longer in the same division as Colorado.
Yeah, I'm definitely not going to go to Colorado anytime soon. Then, if that's how hot it is, I'm not a fan of sweating my ass off inside an arena.
Well, I think we went in the summer and it was like 38 degrees or something.
Oh,
and
buddy.
In the middle of August.
So before we get off this game, because I feel like we're wrapping up the Oilers and Avalanche talk here, I just gotta say this was my trick all year long. Didn't work out for me at all, but it's still my trick here in the playoffs. Is first time goal scorer for the player props, like first goal scorer, and not on either team like throughout the whole game, and then you just take third pairing defensemen on each team and just hope for the best. So Jack Johnson plus 7,000. You throw $2 on that, you're coming home with 140. That's going to be like my pick that if people are watching the show and they're going to, react to something about 3 hours from now, maybe 2 hours from now, is Jack Johnson plus 7,000.
What do they have? Where is Bowen Byram at? That might be a good bet there because, he's
I got him at. Yeah. Sorry, got him at 4,000.
Like that seems like a good bet because that Bowen Byram is going to eventually score. Like he's gone a little bit too long without scoring. He's too good of a defenseman. A player that we've watched for years. It's amazing to watch that Colorado blue line. Like the fact that they have you have Bowen Byram as your third pair defenseman. Like it's pretty nuts. Like Bowen Byram,
it's wild to watch them.
Yeah,
just like the way that the Avalanche, like how good they are, and then they bring in prospects like that are also very good. Like it kind of sucks from like pretty much. I don't even want to just say like a Canucks fans point of view, but like a lot of NHL teams like fans point of view when you see like how good the Avalanche already are, and then it's like, oh yeah, they also have like Newhook coming, like. They traded Drew Helleson, who I thought was like a really good prospect as well, so they don't have him coming. And then just to see these players jump into it already such good lineup, like it just makes you so jealous about how good everything played out for the Avalanche when they did their rebuild there. It's wild.
And for people who like Bowen Byram, you look at how they got him through a Matt Duchene trade. Now, I don't think that anybody's going to be as dumb as the Ottawa Senators were in that deal, but JT Miller. If you put him in the right situation, who knows? Maybe you could get a player like Bowen Byram back in the future.
I would hope so. That would be a high end. You'd love to see it for sure.
So I'll let Andy take over here talking MLB with you because, I'm not very versed in the baseball world, unfortunately.
All right. Well, I guess we will start down the road in Seattle. Their game's just getting started against Baltimore. It's actually 1-0 Baltimore already somehow in the bottom of the first. So assuming Seattle would be the underdog of the down 1-0 early, who do you like in this game, Chris? Seattle at 21-29, or Baltimore actually has one more win at 22-30?
Yeah, let me see who's throwing for either team here. Do you have the pictures up for me?
Flexen versus Jordan. Is it Jordan Lyles? Let me see.
So.
I know it's Flexen for the Mariners.
Flexen's been all right this year. I think it's actually been pretty fun to watch. Like some of the Mariners, like actually their lineup's been like kind of impressive, especially the heart of the line. Like Ty France is near the top of the league, like in just batting average, and to see him like be able to contribute has been pretty cool. Because I feel like Ty France is like I don't think he has been, but I feel like Ty France has been in the Mariners organization for like feels like 8 to 10 years. But like to see him actually like having a lot of success right now, like is pretty cool. Yeah, I haven't been following Baltimore as close, but I feel like Seattle's picked their game up the last little bit. So I think down 1-0, you're not too down on what Seattle's doing right now.
Mm-hmm.
One thing I always find about the Mariners that drives me crazy is like 1 year they got great pitching, but they have no batting, and then they have great batting, but they have no pitching. It's like it alternates. Like this year, their batting is okay. Like I know it had a little bit of a slump, but that's early season. But their pitching like has just gone in the toilet basically.
Yeah, it is tough, especially when you bring in like Robbie Ray and you expect to see what he did last year, and he just hasn't really kind of stepped up to the plate just yet and like brought something for your team. That's like really unfortunate to see. But like their JP Crawford, their shortstop, like he's been really impressive too, and just like to see what they have there. It's too bad because like you actually like bring up a good point, Adam. It's like this year, the fact that they're missing pitching is just going to kind of set up a spot where it's like, Crawford and France are like 27 to 29 years old. They're probably just going to end up being like trade options for the Mariners instead of players that they have to build off of because, you can't really build off of 29-year-olds in the MLB. So they're in a really weird spot, man, especially like the way the season started for them. But I still think like their division's not great. Like I still think they're like third, maybe up to second even at this point. So there could be a shot for them when you're all dialed into the AL East. Like seeing what's happening in the AL West makes it a little bit strange even to watch sometimes. Like how the records end up playing out compared to what you see with like the Red Sox, the Yankees, and the Blue Jays. So I wouldn't write off the Mariners just yet, but I'll tell you, like they haven't started well, and you got the Angels in that division. Like that's a tough out to come out of there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's a tough division. I think actually in our preview show, I actually picked the Mariners to win the AL West, so that's not great for me. You get the Mariners right now at plus 200 on the money line. They're down 2-0 after the first inning.
I feel like the Mariners were like kind of like the conscience pick, like across MLB to win the division based off of what they did. Like some people were like, "Oh yeah, the Angels are there," but I feel like most of the people I heard were like, "Watch this Mariners team, like." This could be the year that, they finally make the playoffs after 21 years missing or something ridiculous like that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, I think even potential.
Yeah, to see the start that that Logan Gilbert had, I think he started off 5-0 to start the season, and then like when you saw him at 5-0, like I just remember like seeing the top of the like standings or just like stats on MLB.com, and I'm like, oh, like let's see what Robbie Ray's been doing, because like if Robbie Ray's even like 4-2, then like the Mariners would be like doing all right, but like Ray just hasn't been good. He's almost got like a 5 ERA at this point. He's walking guys like he was before he came to Toronto, and it's like like it sucks, man, because like Robbie Ray, I think a lot of Canadian baseball fans kind of fell in love with what he did with Toronto, and then us fans here on the West Coast, I like the Mariners. They're I kind of have just like two favorite teams with like the Blue Jays and the Mariners, because I grew up with the Mariners being on like Sportsnet Pacific and their games being the ones that I actually watched at night instead of Toronto. So like I grew up as a Mariners fan, but that's why I was like kind of excited for Ray to come, and he just hasn't really made the impact that you hope. But Gilbert's been really impressive, man. Like he's had some really good starts, and he's kind of the guy where like if you're planning a trip to go down to Seattle to watch a game, I feel like he's probably the pitcher that you want to see if you're planning the trip around like a couple days.
Mm-hmm. Well, let's start there then, as I'm actually going to Seattle in August to watch the Angels play. So right now, bottom of second, the Angels are visiting New York. This is game 2 of a doubleheader. We got Reed Detmers for the Angels and Jameson Taillon for the Yankees. So the Angels are plus 140 right now as we just get started in the bottom of the second inning here. Yankees at minus 167. I actually like the Angels here. I think the Yankees won the first game. And the odds are boosted now to plus 150 for the Angels. So, I think it's hard to sweep a doubleheader. There's just, there's so much going on with bullpen arms, and the players play both games, or they get subbed out, etc. So, give me the Angels at plus 150 on the road.
Yeah, I would probably not have much to add to that. I think you're bang on with the assessment of like doubleheaders are hard too, especially with, how you choose to use your bullpen when you're leading in game one. It's normally something that doesn't affect you because you normally play baseball the next day, but you're like in a doubleheader situation. Yeah, it does make a big impact. So I'm going to go with, I'm with you there on the Angels pick for sure.
There we go. Perfect. One more game here I want to highlight before we wrap up is my NL champion pick. The Milwaukee Brewers are hosting the San Diego Padres. So Sean Manaea for the Padres, Adrian Hauser for the Brewers. This game is basically right down the middle. Padres are minus 110, Brewers are minus 105. So basically a pick 'em. For me, I'd probably take the Brewers at home. I like their bullpen a little bit better than the Padres. And without Tatis still for San Diego, that they've kind of had a hole in the middle of their lineup there this year. So I'll take the Brewers at minus 105 to win this one.
I would go and you bring like to your point about bullpen being strong for the Brewers. That's where I would go with the Padres actually to win like the 5-inning line. I like the Padres. They always start off really well. It feels like they're one of those teams where like it doesn't have a huge drop off when you're like going through the lineup the third time. And honestly, like the Padres lineup doesn't really get to see a starting pitcher for a third time a lot of the time, anyways, because they normally can smash this guy. And the way that the middle of their lineup has been so good this year, like Machado's just unreal, and Tatis probably can still step up quite a little bit to be a little bit more impactful. But like, I would go with the 5-inning line on the Padres here. I like that. 5-inning line is kind of one that I like to roll with anyways. It's just like a little bit more fun and kind of like invest in the starters in each game. And I look at these two starters and neither name really pops off to me on having a great season so far this year. So I like the Padres on like a 5-inning line, even at minus 120.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's a good pick. I'm just looking here at some of these extra bets you could throw on the MLB here. So there's a bet here for the Brewers to bat in the 9th inning. So yes is minus 170, no is plus 125. So Milwaukee's at home, and if I already picked the Brewers to win the game, unless they win in a walk-off fashion, that would mean they don't bat the bottom of the 9th. So I'd probably put some money on no for the Brewers to bat in the 9th inning at plus 125. Interesting little wrinkle there.
Yeah, I like that one. And I would even like expand to my 5-inning line, like take the spread, like take one, take the 1 run, 1.5, maybe even for 2 runs for the Padres, and you're getting like plus 185 on that 5-inning spread. I like the 5-inning spreads. Makes you I'm one of the guys who leaves Nat Bailey Stadium in the 7th or 8th inning if I'm at the game. So like, I like a good 5-inning bet for anything in MLB.
Mm-hmm. Is there any other things that you wanted to touch on here, Adam? Is there any soccer games or anything you want to discuss for this upcoming weekend?
Well, I wanted to just bring down some news that came down in the last hour and a half and get your reaction to apparently a 30-year no movement deal in Arizona for the Arizona Coyotes, where they're trying to sign a 30-year non-relocation deal with the city of Tempe. The NHL is trying to. Tempe it's not like Tempe wants them there for 30 years. It's the NHL wants to put a 30-year commitment into the agreement. So I just wanted to get your guys' thoughts on that.
Yeah, I mean, I quoted this tweet, and I don't understand why you'd take the team that's struggling the most and lock them into a place where they've struggled for 30 years and double down for another 30. So, I mean, maybe Gary has a lot of faith in this new arena is going to get built, and it's going to become all of a sudden this hockey hotbed down there in Tempe. But this seems like a pretty stupid bet to me. I don't know.
Yeah, this feels like when you have to like give your dog medicine and you like hide it in like a meatball, or you roll it in like a deli meat. This is literally just like trying to hide it in another pill and like give it to your dog to swallow. This is a horrible idea. I can't wait for hockey to get out of Arizona. Gary Bettman needs to let this dream die, because this isn't a dream. This is a nightmare for everywhere else. It's just something that I mean, I'm sorry, hockey isn't working there. Putting into a city that's outside of a major city as well is not a good idea. It's not working out for people to make that drive. You're not developing a fan base. Yeah, you got Austin Matthews coming out of the area. That's great. But like, there's a lot of players that are coming out of little towns in Finland that are, 1,200 people as their population, and you're not trying to grow the NHL there. Though you might have a better chance of growing hockey in one of those towns than you do anywhere around Arizona right now. Just Tempe, I don't like. I feel like the more and more I hear from people around that area is like Tempe is the worst idea for what they want to do with the Coyotes right now. Is like, I know Tucson could be an option. Like I've been to Tucson, it's a much bigger place, and if you can kind of get an arena there, maybe that's something of interest. You have like the University of Arizona right around there in Tucson as well. Maybe that's a way to kind of draw more people in. But I almost don't like talking about things that are happening with the Coyote because it makes me feel like it's something you kind of just have to laugh about a lot of times, man. Like even that fake report not fake report, but I guess misworded report about them having the Arizona State logo on there. Like, to have that even be a discussion, how does that happen to an NHL team?
Yeah, well, I'm just reading a thing here now. I'll try to pull it back up on Twitter, but basically in the Quebec Major Junior Hockey League playoffs, they had 14,000 for the game last night, and we got Coyotes going into like a 5,100 and change max capacity college campus, and they're getting 14,000 for junior hockey in Quebec. So makes you wonder what the hell's happening.
Yeah, I mean, it seems like it's just so easy to me that moved back to Quebec City, give another Canadian team. I know that the dollar is going to affect you in a certain direction, but you mentioned it, if you can get 14,000 to a junior hockey game, I don't think the dollars in maybe 4,000, 5,000 Americans going to make that much of a difference. I feel like it doesn't make sense to me how that's a smart business plan for a full NHL organization. It doesn't make any sense at all.
And yeah, if you want Houston's also an option if you really want to keep it in the States. There are options in the States. Bedman's not moving on this point kind of reminds me of the Costco CEO who was like, if you ever raise the price of hot dogs, I'll come down here and murder you. That's kind of the vibe I'm getting from Gary Bettman when anybody ever mentions relocation of Arizona.
Yeah, but that guy's awesome. Whoever did the hot dogs and he was vouching for the $1.50. That guy's awesome.
Yeah,
I think Houston's a really good example though, because I don't know, how do I word this the right way? Hockey to me does so well in these cities that are massively booming in the States. Nashville kind of has, I feel like Nashville, yes, they've always been country town, but you can also see the hipster vibe kind of in Nashville, I think a little bit when you get away from the country music a little bit. I feel like Houston's kind of the same. They're one of these cities that is really changing really fast and getting a lot more people brought into it. And I think that's kind of the American hockey fans that we're seeing is hockey feels like it's not the big mainstream thing. I don't think it's ever going to really be able to compete with basketball the way that they promote and do such a good job of just drawing in new fans and then hooking those new fans. But NFL is always going to have Sunday, but for NHL, it feels like it might just be the hip kind of alternate sport to be a fan of. And I feel like that kind of thing actually would work in a place like Houston that is completely evolving as a city.
Yeah. We'll monitor that situation, and in 30 years, I guess we'll revisit it. So before we wrap up here, Faber, or should we say newly graduated Chris Faber, congratulations on that. Do you want to throw out all of your, where people can find you, socials, if they don't know where to find you already?
Yeah, you can find me on Twitter at ChrisFaber39. Just keep an eye up on Canucks Army right now. We're just banging out a lot of draft content. It's my favorite time of the year, so that's kind of what I've been doing, and just working on an article right now before I hop on with you guys about potential right shot defensemen to play with Quinn Hughes who aren't named John Marino. So that'll be a fun one in the next couple of days here. But yeah, lots of draft coverage, and it's my favorite time of the year. Every night I'm sitting out on the couch just watching finished U20 hockey games and just whatever player I'm into that day. So lots of draft coverage on Canucks Army right now. That's what I'm all about. And
that's at Chris Faber, and then Alex Chason at the back there. if you are searching up on Twitter. Mr. Alex Chase on Mr. Am I going to Switzerland or am I trying to re-sign with the Canucks?
Send him to Switzerland, man.
Okay, so we'll wrap it up here. Thank you once again, Faber, for joining us. And for Andy, I'm Adam, and we'll talk to you guys again next week.